On this channel, I've shown you several historical markers from around the United States in most episodes, but in this series I'm going to spotlight the organizations that bring these markers to the public, so everyone who visits that location can enjoy and learn local history. Just about every U.S. state has its own historical society. The State Historical Society of Missouri was founded by the Missouri Press Association on May 26, 1898. Almost a year later, the society became a trustee of the state of Missouri. Its current headquarters are in Columbia, on the campus of Mizzou, or the University of Missouri. The year was 1951. The State Historical Society of Missouri would begin a 10-year program to install historical markers alongside highways throughout the Show Me State. A man named Floyd Shoemaker, who was given the nickname Mr. Missouri, came up with the idea. Floyd made many accomplishments as the head of the Historical Society since 1915, and he would lead the project. He would guide a survey of historical topics of statewide importance to be noted for marking. Selections were made, and research on the topics began. Topics that were to be included were geological, geographical, and archaeological features, plus cultural, social, political achievements, and of course historical events that took place, such as Civil War battles, the Butterfield Overland Trail, or when a town or county was being settled. Ruby M. Robbins, who was one of the Society's research associates, wrote the inscriptions. There were a total of 121 markers that were prepared. Each of them were placed in every county in Missouri. There was even one just outside the city of St. Louis, which, by the way, is a standalone city. In addition, some counties received more than one marker. These include the counties of Howard, Jackson, Jasper, and Pike counties. These historical markers were to give the traveler and the local a feeling of identity with their environment. All these markers were two-sided and were constructed from a cast aluminum alloy with a baked enamel blue finish, 23-karat gold lettering, and at the top was a seal of the state of Missouri. Along with the State Historical Society of Missouri, the Missouri State Highway Commission, which was mentioned at the bottom of the markers, provided assistance in helping to place these markers at their assigned places. The Missouri State Highway Commission would later become the Department of Transportation, and to this day they continue to maintain the markers to make sure they are in top shape. Some of these markers have moved and relocated over the years because of changes in roads, places, among other things. Sadly, a few, if not more, are no longer standing in public view for various reasons, like this one in St. Louis County. There was also one in Jefferson City that was placed at a roadside park that is no longer there. Interestingly, some were put in storage before they were put back up again. At least one marker was replaced with a similar format in later years. In 1995, the Texas County Commission put up a new one in front of their courthouse. The markers either talk about the county they are located in, or sometimes the county seat or a very interesting town or village. A great example here is Bethel, Missouri. Bethel may be a very small village today, and it is not the county seat, but it was probably placed there for a reason, instead of Shelbyville, which is the actual county seat of Shelby County. At least two markers highlight certain individuals that Missouri stands proud of. One is Mark Twain, and the other Daniel Boone. This one is located in downtown Warrenton. It is important to keep in mind that these markers are 60 to 70 years old, as some of the information may be very outdated. As one would expect, weather would help take a toll on some of these markers. I am standing in front of the official St. Louis marker. However, I am not literally standing in St. Louis City. I am actually in St. Louis County in an unincorporated place called Sampington. And this is actually outside Lindbergh High School off of US Highway 61 and 67. But I'm going to go ahead and show you this marker, and this one dates back to 1953. And there's a lot of stuff I could talk about with this one, so here we go. This one has a lot of great historical information, such as that it was the first city of the Trans-Mississippi West and second permanent settlement in Missouri, founded in 1764, and then 1804, Upper Louisiana, when it joined the United States. So here is something that's very questionable, though. It says here, St. Louis served as colonial, territorial, and first state capital. Alexander McNair, first state governor, took office here. Now, I wouldn't really call St. Louis the first state capital of Missouri, That distinction went to St. Charles, Missouri as the first temporary state capital, but lawmakers did meet here in 1821 to 1826. Well, they met in downtown St. Louis and Laclede's Landing at that one building. So I'm going to go to the other side, and then on the other side there's more history, like the Eads Bridge, one of 7 bridges at St. Louis in 1874. In 1804, the city had a total French and American population of under 1,000. Rapid growth came through immigration from the States and later Europe. So this dates back to 1953, and I'll get to that in just a second. And it also has all the cool places to visit historic-wise, like the monuments and commemorative markers, and all those places you can still visit today, like the Missouri Botanical Garden, the Campbell House Museum, the Eugene Field Birthplace, the Allo Plaza, the Soldiers Memorial, and then the Jefferson National Expansion Memorial, which became Gateway Arch National Park. And speaking of which, it is also noteworthy that in 1953, St. Louis was America's 8th largest city. Now it is ranked number 70 according to the 2020 census. But there are some factual errors in my opinion. Like St. Louis and St. Louis County broke apart on August 20th, 1876. But it says here 1877. But, you know, nothing can be perfect. Also, it says on the back, Missouri became a state officially on August 10th, 1821. Well, on the marker it says 1820. But it is very cool because this marker is kind of like a time capsule. In 1953, that was the last year St. Louis had 2 Major League Baseball teams, the St. Louis Browns and the St. Louis Cardinals. The Browns would go to Baltimore after that. Also, the Gateway Arch wasn't even a thing yet. And as we all know, the Gateway Arch easily symbolizes the city of St. Louis. Now, it was in the making at the time, not until like 5 years later when the arch was being built, or actually maybe, I'm sorry, less than a decade later, my bad. Now, one may wonder, myself included, now this is coming from an unverified source, but why isn't this marker in literally St. Louis? Like, why isn't this downtown or anywhere else in St. Louis City? Well, from what I read, again from an unverified source, that they wanted to put this by major highways, and this again is Lindbergh Boulevard, obviously named after the aviator Charles Lindbergh. This is U.S. Highways 50, 61, and 67, and this is where they wanted to put it because they thought it would attract more people. So, and it's just outside Lindbergh High School, but the marker still remains in great shape. The Seal 2. Here is the one for the biggest city in Missouri. This is Kansas City's. This is found in the historic West Bottoms district, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the marker. All right, here is Kansas City. All right, at the confluence of the Missouri and Kansas Kaw rivers on the Great Bend of the Missouri, longest of the U.S. rivers, this famous city of the vast Missouri Valley was first incorporated in 1850 as a town of Kansas. The first white man known to have viewed this magnificent location was the French explorer de Morgemont, 1714. I know I'm probably not pronouncing it right. Among trappers who later frequented the area was Daniel Morgan Boone, son of the pioneer. The Lewis and Clark expedition camped here, 1804, and the first steamboat to pass in 1819 was the Western Engineer. Kansas City is an outgrowth of Francois Chateau's fur trading post, first permanent settlement in 1821. And now from the other side, Kansas City, the Continental Railroad and Air Travel Center, famous livestock and grain market, huge industrial and food processing point in 1860, had under 5,000 population. During the Civil War, the city languished under Union occupation in an area almost depopulated by military order and guerrilla warfare. The Battle of Westport on October 23, 1864, ended the Confederate cause in Missouri. What is known as the Gettysburg of the West, 20,000 Federals commanded by Pleasanton and Curtis defeated 9,000 Confederates led by Price, Shelby, and Marmaduke in bitter conflict. The site is Martin Luce Park. In 1865, the Missouri Pacific Railroad reached this point, and here the Missouri River was bridged for the first time in 1869. Now 6 bridges cross the river here. I'm sure that number's kind of changed by now because it says on here it was put up in 1953. Now, there are plenty of points of interest, you know, when visiting Kansas City. I mean, too many to name, but at the time in 1953, there were some, such as the Nelson Gallery of Art, which is still there, Liberty Memorial, Proctor's Pioneer Mother Group, and Dallin Scouts in Penn Valley Park, City Hall Observation Roof, Kansas City Museum, Swope Park Zoo, University of Kansas City, Rockhurst College, Art Institute, Lookout Point, and Cliff Drive. And Kansas City was the number 2 city for a long time behind St. Louis, but I believe it was by the 70s or the 1980s that Kansas City was number 1. And it is now one of the 40 biggest cities here in the United States. And one other thing, the Historical Society had erected some markers during the 1930s along U.S. Highway 36 from St. Joseph to Hannibal. I was able to find one in the town of Brookfield. And here is an example of a really early one placed by the State Historical Society of Missouri, 1931. Alright, so this doesn't really look old or feel old. Well, actually I take that back. It's been replaced. See, it's got this thing right here. So they got a picture. I know that didn't come from 1931. Not that I was around at the time, but yeah, Brookfield, which is not too far from Marceline and Chillicothe, Missouri. This one, of course, talks about the history of Brookfield, found in 1859, named for John Wood Brooks, who surveyed the town, and talks about the railroad. So yeah, this is an example, even though I probably can't see what is behind there, but okay, yeah, I don't want to like do any further damage than I did, but so I thought I'd show you a little interesting example of the earlier markers from the State Historical Society of Missouri. There are also markers that are very similar to the regular format, including this one in the Carondelet neighborhood in St. Louis. So does the State Historical Society of Missouri plan to put up new markers? The answer is no, and that is for various reasons, but the Historical Society is still providing information for scholars and anyone who is interested in browsing the Society's large collection of materials. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked Behind the Organization series.